Alright, y'all. Welcome to the end of the year. 2019 is right behind us. The first year of Bakugan has expired, and we are now moving on to the horizon with the new sets that are to be Armored Alliance and to be announced. Now, we can be a little bit somber about this. We can be a little bit remiss. But to be honest, I'm excited because that means... What does that mean? I figured a good homage to year one would be to go over the best decks undisputably and non-ironically about the format that we just saw up and go, up and leave, and honestly is well bleeding into the new year. So today I wanted to go over the top 3 decks, only 3, we're keeping it simple today, the top 3 decks of 2019. So without further ado, buckle up, subscribe, please. Like, share with friends, please. We're trying to get up there in subscribers. But you know how I am. I much prefer quality over quantity, and you guys have been kicking some butt. I love each and every one of you guys. All right, but share with your friends. We want to see this channel grow as much as possible. We're building a family. You know what I mean? So without further ado, let's kick it. So I was wondering about how I should go about this, how I should order these. Should I start with the Undisputed Champ, which, I easily could, or do I go with 3, 2, 1? And I think I'm going to do that. I think first, I'm going to bring up some honorable mentions. And the honorable mentions consist of Fury. Now, Fury is a really good deck. It's my love child, and a love child of a lot of people I know. It's a very good deck when it gets rolling. And it gets rolling fairly quickly. And we're going to talk about the builds that consist of Serpent Tees or Vice Rocks, Pyrus-wise. And that is the main Fury enabler, the main Bakugan that needs the Fury in order to live. Typically, Darkus would be Hydorus and Hydronoid Ultra for the Aurelus spot. Darkus Pyrus is the main 2 factions that run with Fury, and that's pretty much how it's going to be the whole way through. Because you don't need Aquos to draw cards like a lot of other decks do, because you do want to rely on not having any cards in hand. Now, the deficit that kind of keeps Fury from kind of rising up to the cream of the crop is because it does kind of over-rely on Mac-Mock. Your biggest dude is Hydronoid, and quite honestly, with most of the Power Creep boys, Cubbo included, they can keep up with you nowadays. Mac-Mock is not as win conditioning as it once was, because not only do a lot of the top decks have B power, but they also can just play a reroll, land on their +6 Fire Fist, and match you. Or sadly beat you. Unless you have your prime setup already done, you're probably not going to win with the Mac-Mock. There are many ways that your opponent can outdo you, and in this game and age where a lot of people know what they're doing, people will play around Mac-Mock. So it's not the stable win condition it was of BB and Yonder. Not to toot my own horn, but Howlkor Fury actually stood up a chance. Not as well as Fury, because in the Jet Kuso Tournament 2, Fury did get 3rd place. Latherna, he played his heart out, got 3rd place with Fury. It was very good. Fury is definitely one of those decks where you have to go all in. You have to win, 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 and if you don't win by turn 3 or 4, it gets hard to keep up, because that's when the Evos are coming out. That's when the flips have been played. That's when, it's hard to maintain that momentum, because the Cease Outsiders are online, the Evos that are way bigger than you, you're going to hardly be able to win a battle unless you draw that Mac-Mock, and even so, sometimes it's just not enough. Howlkor Fury, time to plug myself. Howlkor Fury, it depends on the setup. It can be a bit clunkier than Fury, and it doesn't really do what Fury wants to do as far as kill the opponent as fast as possible, but it does survive that mid to late game just because Howlkor can get up to 2150, and that's not too bad compared to what the rest of the Bakugan and Fury are capable of. And it does push out like you can get like 48 damage off of one Howlkor hit. Again, flips are a thing, and that's why Fury suffers so much, is because flips are being played, and there are better flips than there were back in the day, Confuse being one of the more notable ones. And not to mention Darkus Snare 0 cost for Magic Shield, but Fury doesn't really care about Magic Shields, they care more about the Fire Fist, so that's that. Aggro Fury with the Serpent Tee / Vice Rocks, Darkus Hydorus Ultra, and Hydronoid is the superior version of Fury, if I'm being completely honest. But Howlkor still has its place in my heart, and it actually did better than I thought it was going to do. So Howlkor Fury is not just... If you make it right, and I'll do my new deck list soon, it's actually way better than it was before, and it's actually competitively viable. Shut up, Hunter Surge. I know you're screaming right now, but trust me on this. It's a good deck. Three. We're finally getting into it. We're getting into 3. Serpent Tee's Burn. Serp Burn, as the pros like to call it. It is a win condition, and did I mention it's a win condition? You stall out. You are deathly afraid of Wayne, but that's why you put Aquos in there. Not only for the rerolls, but for the Blinding Ink, just to hold it. The whole game, you hold on to that like it's your life. And you wait until your opponent's dumb enough to try to Wayne you, your Serpent Tees, and you say, no thanks, I'm gonna re-roll for game now. Thanks for playing, thanks for coming out. I know you drove 45 minutes to come to locals today, but I want you the hell out of my shop. One thing that can be kind of equated to Serp Burn is Aurelus Trox, because they're both severe combo decks that rely on getting certain evos and certain combo pieces in order to go off. But the only difference between Aurelus Trox and Serp Burn that makes Serp Burn way more consistent and way more viable is it needs less pieces. It honestly just needs your rerolls, Serpent Tees, and honestly, it's not a one-shot. You can honestly take a hit with Serpent Tees, lose a battle, and just reroll him again. And then not to mention that you can team attack with the Serpent Tees last, get that 5 damage, get the team attack, and then reroll Serpent Tees right away. Like, Serpent Tees is just way more applicable, whereas Aurelus Trox, you have to just put resources in every single time you want to do damage with him. Every time you want to attack with him, you have to pour resources into Aurelus Trox, whereas Serpent Tees is just old reliable. Old reliable. All you have to do is just roll him out, 5 damage, which is more than a lot of Bakugan deal on their own. So Serpent Tees is just reliable to the punch. You just wait it out, use your Dark Fortune if you don't draw it, and you just re-roll. You take your hits, re-roll. Take your hits, re-roll. Or you can just go re-roll, 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 and if you have Shun online, only God can help them. Only God can help them, because if you have Song of Fire, Shun, you can re-roll up to like 10 times a turn. I've done it myself. It's insane. You're just melt. You just watch your opponent's deck melt, and flips are useless. That's the thing that's most crazy about this deck, is flips are useless. Because yeah, you can stop my burn, but I'm just gonna do it again. That's why Serp is 3, as far as the top decks go. Now second is Power Creep Boys. Power Creep Boys saw a big impact on the metagame recently, just because Aquos Cubbo, with the card pool it brings, being 1350 as well, is insane nevertheless, and it's the staple Aquos Bakugan, until Hydorus, in any Aquos deck that just splashes him in there, just because he is so powerful, and Magic Shields are so potent in this metagame that we have right now. And Nobilius Ultra being 1350 as well, kind of subsiding in the Power Creep Boys criteria, and not to mention he also runs Super Fuel. Super Fuel is a card in the Pyrus package that comes with that, not as powerful as the Aquos package, because it does come with powerful negates such as Sinkhole, Blinding Ink, which wins against any Magmok. Unfortunately, that's why Fury players are left in honorable mentions, but also can provide powerful fist punches of their own, straight to the gut. Hydronoid's right there too. Titan Hydronoid, huge, powerful, 2450 just for existing. Pay 4 win. But unfortunately, besides Hydronoid, you can take a hit from Hydroid and stall out Cubbo and Nobilius mid-game. And that's sort of like Fury. That's where Power Creep boys suffer. And just like Fury, they have to rely on the same parlor tricks as Fury in order to get the upper hand on a lot of decks that can handle that mid-range, that can kind of wait it out, take their punches, and then just punch back in mid-range to late game. Power Creep boys are Fury, but with B power. And mid-game, they do try the same tricks as Fury, as they try to Mac Mock, and they try to weasel their way past the Ultimate Chad HTN. Spoiler alert, Power Creep boys are scarily consistent, scarily good, but mid-range to late game, unfortunately, they just don't hold up. Not to mention Pyrus and Aquos being so good aggressively, their flip pool is garbaggio. Even if you win, like if you put the pressure on Power Creep boys to where they can't win those first few vital turns, they're screwed. And they don't have the flips to combat those first few turns. So if they're taking damage, they're taking damage. You know, Power Creep boys, they're really good. Like they draw their whole deck. It's just because Shun is such a great hero card, and they have such high B power to begin with, so they don't have to invest as much into their actual Bakugan as, say, someone else would have to. So, say you have a Bakugan that you're fighting that's relatively around the 1000s area, and they invest a lot of energy just to match up, maybe to get to the 1750, where you just have to use a Liquid Arts. And you're caught up. You just used one energy to match their maybe 3. So that's why Power Creep boys are good, but unfortunately, they don't light a candle to number 1. Number 1, HTN. And more specifically, I'm gonna say the best HTN deck is the Haos Ventus Aquos version. Not only do you have to worry about HTN itself, which is a powerhouse at 2300 B power, but you also have to worry about Ventus Pegatrix, which does pretty much the same thing, but only gets up to, I think about 22. So, it's pretty, you have a lot to contend with. And the only weak link would probably be Cubbo, but a smart HTN player is not going to let you keep him on Cubbo. And nevertheless, they do have insane B power bonuses, because Aquos does come with Tides and Wave Slash, 1000, you know, and Nature's Power. They have the cards to combat you trying to cheese them out of that, and then you have Pegatrix and HTN that are just barreling you down. It's constant pressure mid-game. Like turn 3, once they activate that Ventus Pegatrix, turn 3 baby, turn 3! Turn 3 they activate that Ventus Pegatrix, and it's just game over from there. They just keep steamrolling you with big evos, cards that you can't match. You try to Mac Mock them, no Blinding Ink, no Sinkhole, thank you, stop. Like they just boom, boom, boom. It's the most consistent deck we have in the game right now, and it just has a presence. You feel it, because Ventus Pegatrix and HTN, and let alone the Aquos card pool, it just is unbeatable. It's a scary deck. It's really good. It's undoubtedly the best deck in the format. And not to mention the good flips that Ventus comes with, and Haos being a sleeper as far as the best faction in the format, because it comes with the best flip in the game right now, Confuse, which targets Fire Fist and Magic Shields, which is the most notable 2 cores in the game right now. Power Creep boys, Fury, they all use it. A lot of main decks use it. And then Rock Riser, just in case the Rogue Shield, you know, you have a lot of the flips that combat the best decks in the format, and let alone HTN has something that a lot of decks can't deal with. Wayne. Wayne is a scary card. It says, hey, I'm gonna stay as big as I am, but I'm gonna bring you down to size. You're done, stupid. It's over. It's insane. Like, Wayne just gives HTN a platform where you can't match it. The Blinding Inks, the Wave Slashes, the Waynes, they just all say, I'm gonna be where I'm at, and you'll never get close. Just keep you at arm's length. That's what HTN does. And it's very powerful. Now there are two other variants of HTN that I think that are worth noting. The second best variant of HTN, because it is such a it's such a multi-capable deck that you can pretty much run what you want, but the fact of the matter is that the Aquos Ventus is the most powerful, just because it does bring the big Evos and the Aquos card pool, but there is Pyrus Aquos, which runs Magmok itself, which, you know, HTN can, and HTN, even if it doesn't have the Blinding Ink, doesn't really care about Magmok, because they just re-roll onto one of their +6 Fire Fists that they have, and they can match your damage and beat it. So HTN is just well-rounded. It does not care. And Super Fuel, they can get HTN out turn 2 to make their presence like hit faster. It's more aggressive, but it doesn't last as long, just because it faces the similar problems as Power Creep Boys, because it does have Nobilius and it does have Cubbo, but that's where it stops. It basically replaces Hydronoid with HTN. Aquos Ventus has to be the staple HTN. That's what makes HTN. That's what separates it from Power Creep Boys, quite honestly. Here's the last version of HTN before I get the heck out of here. Pyrus Ventus. No rerolls, no Blinding Ink. Just, you know, Pegatrix and Nobilius. You get your Super Fuels. You can't really use Magmok because Pegatrix isn't really as crazy as Cubbo. Like, it's at 4 damage when you start and then 6 on the evolution, but it's not really that good. And then it doesn't really utilize what makes either one the best. It's just a tag-along faction. Like, they both are there, but they don't realize their potential. Like, they both have great potential to bring to the table, but given who they're tag along with, they can't make it happen. You know what I mean? So this one was a little bit more serious. You know, this one, you know, we all have our yucks and we all have our laughs, but at the end of the day, this Bakugan, you know, there's a little bit of Bakugan, okay? And these are, you know, I wanted to make a serious video for once. Obviously, Howlkor is the best deck. Obviously. If you're a long-time fan, you know that for a fact. If you play this game and you played against Howlkor, you know for a fact that Howlkor is the best deck. Undecided. Undisputed. Can't beat it. Right? I thought I'd give you guys some actual advice for once. Because this is a pro channel, baby. Bad boys. Rise up. Okay? So, with that being said, please share with your friends. Subscribe. Have a great day. And drum up. Have a great day, guys.